To the left of the dealer is seat number 1.
We decided to hold this qualifier for people who want to be a contestant on the Showdown. The winner of the qualifier will automatically be on the Showdown as a contestant. But we will have 7 other wildcards where we will pick people not just based on skills. We're definitely going to get a very diverse kind of crowd coming in to compete. So we also want to find people who has character and personality. The qualifier is structured as a shootout. David Yong is actually my boss, everyone's boss in Asia. He's the director of PokerStars Asia, and he was the one who personally picked Team Asia. He picked many successful players as well. And he's the best person to actually see potential in people. He's a great people's person, and he'll definitely pick the right ones out today. People knew that the show was sponsored by PokerStars. They knew that the director of Asia was going to be there. They knew that I was going to be there. You could just see that people know that there was a lot on the line for them. They really wanted to be noticed. They had friends they played with in their games and they wanted to beat them. They wanted to beat everyone. It was just very electrifying, I'll say. And yeah, you could see on their faces that they knew what was on the line for them. They knew how big this event was for them. And everyone definitely brought their best game.
Turn cards of 5 and the rivers of 4.
Sorry, man.
Not clear.
Don't put that up.
I noticed that table a lot because very good players there, interesting characters. And Edward actually stood out. First of all, he was a very clean-cut kind of guy and someone whom I usually notice to be very safe, player who would just sit there and play according to a sound strategy, but he wasn't doing that. He was actually making some hero calls, making some overly aggressive plays, but he made it to the final table.
They're in danger. Lost 4, 8, queen, 2 diamonds.
Okay, the beers. You could not miss this guy. Like, he was so lucky, one of the luckiest person I've seen playing cards. And he actually came back from using 1 chip alone. He survived so many all-ins.
I know this guy. 7 times all in. Sick.
He went heads up with Edward. He took the cheap lead. He almost kicked Edward out. But one thing for sure is luck can only last that long. And yeah, his luck ran out and Edward took him down. Howie, that guy really looked like a geek. And it was interesting to see someone performing well in a live event, a live qualifier, because he came 3rd. He celebrated very interesting ways. Actually, a lot of these geeks do well online, and it was interesting to see him do well live, coming 3rd on his table as well. Probably the first time he's out of his room in a year. But who knows, the Showdown might be able to change his life. He could be one of the wildcards to be on the show.
I like this guy. This guy, he just faced an impossible odd because his opponent beat him 5 times in a row.
As the day went on, I really could feel for the last 3 people being a shootout. They couldn't advance to the final table. They sort of felt that they didn't have a shot at the show anymore. And yet there were so many deserving people out there who really deserve to be on the final table, if not for that stroke of luck, which they didn't have at that point, and they just got unlucky. So I'm really glad we have the wildcards and we could pick these deserving people to be a contestant on the Showdown. Daphne Tay, that vixen looking girl, Well, she was one of the qualifiers who actually caught my eye. She pounded on all of her opponents because a lot of them were just sitting there playing really tight, playing really scared. I'll call it scared poker. But she really caught my eye because she dared to take a lot of risk. She actually showed me her whole cards once or twice, and she was like bluffing the daylights out of her opponents, and I was impressed, very impressed. I'm not sure how far this bluffing strategy would take her in the real world, but as I say once again, in a qualifier with a chance to be on the showdown, it's a huge thing, and she still pulled those moves out. Well done. Victor came across to me as someone who knew what's necessary to be a poker icon. He dressed the part, you know. When he talked about poker, I could see that he knew what was going on, the odds, the outs, you know, the flushes, the full houses. He knew everything. And he impressed me actually by playing well, steamrolling his opponents, and he actually made the final table. So I'll definitely keep my eye on him. Alex the breakdancer. Interesting guy because you seldom get to see these kind of characters in the poker world. He dances. I think he's still in uni. He plays really aggressively, and he also enjoyed the game. It's important to find people who actually enjoy the game, who take bad beats in stride. He ran bad for sure. Like, I saw him have an overpair against an underpair. So basically he lost a 80-20, that's what we call it. And yet he was like, oh well, whatever, you know. And it's pretty good to see this kind of a character there, because you definitely need to distance yourself, your emotions from the table. And he was one of them. For me to actually overcome my emotions took a long time. So seeing that in Alex actually made me notice him.